Welcome, everyone, to another version of the Win by Noon Weekly Mastermind. I am your host and founder of Win by Noon, Todd Bookspan. I'm so excited to see you all here. And more importantly, because I always say more importantly about my co-host, it's always exciting to have none other than the founder of Plug and Play SM, Deborah Bird. What's going on, Deborah?
Hey, so today is the first official business day of Q4. Can you believe it? This year just went by like that.
You know, I was on the phone with my team this morning and I let them know how it is the most exciting day for me. In fact, I was going to do a post about it. I realized this is the 22nd quarter that I've officially started in official Win by Noon land. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
Nice.
Now I feel like an underachiever for not knowing those numbers.
Well, I had to do the math in my head and count on my fingers and stuff like that. But I'm always excited anytime I can crack open a new planner. You know, my old planners get kind of beat up as we go through the month, and but this one's, I don't have any stickers on this one even. It's like brand spanking new.
Well, are we ready to introduce our big guest? I'm excited.
We got 30 minutes.
Wait.
We got 30 minutes, so we should make sure that that we do that so we can respect his time and get as much knowledge from him as we can.
Okay, everybody. So we have Kevin Dwyer, who's from Georgia, Atlanta, and I wanted him to be on today's webinar. I had asked Todd, I'm like, hey, we've got to have Kevin on the webinar because he was one that was quick to watch one of my Friday emails. I think it was either the 17th or the 18th planner, and I only had 18 to give away. But he had watched the video and he got the social media edition of Win by Noon, and he's never been a Win by Noon user. So y'all welcome him. And we'll go into details about how he is going to crush this last quarter and fund over 100 million, right, Kevin?
That's right.
That's right. So just a little quick, last quarter, he had a big goal of 25 million and he passed it. He funded 26 million. And, I do a lot of the data and the research of just new listings and active listings. And that was a tough battle for September, let alone. So good job, Kevin, and welcome to the webinar. How are you?
I'm doing great. Ready for Q4 here.
Okay, so we got to know what was some of your secrets on what did you do if you had to chunk it down to like 3 main activities that you think really helped you last quarter to beat your 25 million goal?
I'd say one of them was definitely, and I use the word delegation, which is sometimes not easy to do from a loan officer. I mean, I've been in the business for 20 years now, and I think a little bit of a control freak to make sure that everything kind of gets done, but I have an awesome team. And one of the things is just making sure, like, I think as a loan officer, when the client comes in, you feel like you got to be the one that always talks to them and handles everything. And one thing that kind of went in was like, if I'm going to be recording videos, or if I'm doing database calls and stuff like that, I'm going to turn my email off, because I'm one of these where I'm a squirrel, right? Where if things are going off, I got to respond right away. And I'm going to let my team take care of those things. That was something that was very helpful over probably this whole year, but definitely this last quarter, which was like, there's key things that I've got to take care of, which is I've got to bring in the new business, right? You guys take care of what I've brought in. You can do it. You can answer their questions, and I don't have to be the one that answers all their questions. And I need to focus on the activities of bringing in the new business. So that was one thing that was extremely helpful. And within that was almost kind of the second thing, which is really carving out the time to say, these are the times I'm going to do this, and I can't let these other things. So that's why I turn off my email, which actually reminds me I need to do that right now. Because email stinks in a lot of ways, right? It's a huge distraction of, I can just answer this right now. And if you pay attention, all of a sudden you are answering emails nonstop if you'll let it. And so I think it's almost like you need to control your day instead of the email controlling you.
I love that. It's so hard for people, I think, to comprehend the idea, because they're like, well, wait a second, but there's there's the most important thing sitting in my email. And for me, I just had to get really comfortable with the fact that I have email 24/7. I can look down on my computer right now, and even though I've got 5 email accounts coming in for different businesses, I don't have any of those little round circles with a number in it telling me there's email. I just know there's email there. I turned off all the notifications, and I'm just comfortable with the fact that I've got email, because I feel like someone's going to actually ping me on this thing here, my phone, if for some reason it's super urgent. In fact, they're probably going to have to call me twice because I'm not going to pick it up the first time.
Well, yeah, and it's one of these where I think it's trained to say like, oh my gosh, like an out of office doesn't even really mean anything anymore, right? It's almost like, oh, that means he's got 3 minutes to respond as opposed to 60 seconds. But the world does not fall apart if you don't respond to every email within 3 minutes or whatever is what I found. And literally things can get taken care of, and you don't have to take care of every little piece of that. But if you focus on the key things that'll drive getting either that next referral or building that next partnership piece, that's very key. And the last thing, Deborah, that I'll tell you is that I had a goal coming into this last quarter of building 3 new referral partners through agents. And sometimes I think we can get overwhelmed by how many things we feel like we got to kind of go do. And so I wanted more than 3, but I said, you know what, I'm just going to focus on 3. I just want to build a relationship with these 3 agents and maybe get 1 referral from each of them by the end of 90 days. And that was a big win, because that happened. And so what happened is instead of feeling like I've got to go out and get 15 new agents and bring them all in, I started smaller and then just really built on focusing on those 3.
Okay, so I have to ask, how did you pick those 3?
So I have got a marketing database that I email out to I do it every 2 weeks just to not inundate them. And that way I put together something that's, I think, going to be very valuable, whether it's about the market or whether it's about rates. I just don't send rate updates every week because I think like whatever, unless something big happens like it did, a couple of weeks ago. So
Is that a side nudge to my every Friday emails? Are mine too much?
No,
I'm
not
just
at
kidding.
all. That's different.
I'm just kidding.
But and so what I did was I went back and I looked at, okay, who has been maybe opening these emails the most over the last 6 months, 3 months, what have you, and then who are some of the agents that are part of my deals, whether they're listing agents and or buyers agents that I don't know, I connect with, right? And so my partner and assistant was going off and looking at things from a social media standpoint, and she was going in and building some of the relationships on social, and then sitting there and chatting and communicating. And so we kind of had a two-prong approach, which was social media plus calling and interacting and talking from that standpoint. And that's one of the things that we kind of go and focus on. But and it's funny because again, I've been doing this a long time in my market, and a couple of the agents I'd never met before, and we kind of hit it off. And one of them just went and ran a marathon in London this past weekend. And it's just been kind of a nice, evolution. There was a couple that were on my list that it didn't really pan out. I was just like, we're not. And of course, you can find a lot of information about what kind of business agents are doing using list reports or using, there's another one that you have.
Lender Launchpad,
where you can find out like, hey, is this somebody that's actually really doing business, or does it look like they're doing a lot of business on social media?
so true.
So what was your criteria for that? I mean, how many transactions were you looking for them to do? And then also, how did you, when you said you were I mean, I understand the social interaction, you're reacting and commenting on stuff that they're doing, but as far as the phone calls, when you were picking up the phones, what were those conversations like?
So my conversations were, I could see that they were opening. So the target was someone that was in my database. And some of them I didn't have any relationships with, but I saw that they were opening. So a lot of that is calling and asking. We talked a little bit about some of the stuff from Jeff Zimfer, but asking like what they were doing from a marketing perspective, especially since the market had shifted, and then talking about maybe some ideas and things that I saw. I'll tell you a huge thing which is a big agent in my market, that she had just started doing videos on her Instagram. And I can tell that she's new to it. She's a little uncomfortable with it. And so I sent her a video because she's a listing agent on one of my deals. And 12 months ago, she kind of blew me off because she does a lot of listings, but I also know she does a lot of purchases. So I sent her a video Friday, giving her an update on the file that's closing on Wednesday, saying, hey, I want to let you know we're clear to close. And I saw you're doing video. If you'd love to get together, I can give you 3 tips to help make your videos even stronger, better, and cut down. And so she goes, I don't even know how you sent me this video in a text message, but love to get together. Let's go have lunch. So
Dude, I'm telling you.
I don't focus on, when I call agents, I don't talk about mortgage at all, especially if it's building a relationship. I talk about what they're doing on their business, what things I have done to see if there's something that I can do to help them out with their own business. I really don't talk about mortgage product or mortgage rates or anything like that. I try to find out what it is that they're doing and see if there's some things that I've learned that I can share with them.
And so for anyone that's listening right now, who's either live on the webinar or if they watch this later in YouTube, where can they find you? Obviously, I know your handles, but for people who just want to watch what you're doing and see you on social, because you're one of the few, I always push clients to try to get some lifestyle photos. And when I say lifestyle photos, I mean some of them where it looks like you're in action, or maybe it looks like you're, checking your phone, because anytime you can use those in your social media or your graphics, it's always better than like a stock photo. And so as a male, for some reason, my male clients have a harder time sending in or setting up a photo shoot with some of those lifestyle photos, but you have them and you have great ones. And anyone who could go to your feed and just kind of get a glimpse of your content and your videos, where could they find you?
Well, my handle is Mike Drop Mortgage. And
Mike Drop Mortgage. You're going to have to explain that one after this.
I will. But then, I think that's the Instagram, and then LinkedIn is just, I think it's either the same or just Kevin Dwyer. But I get it, because I'm a middle-aged 40 male with teenage daughters. And so I also think social media is the devil. But yes, I try to do what I can.
So no TikTok yet?
No TikTok. I don't
YouTube
dance.
Shorts?
Well, YouTube Shorts.
Okay.
But it's all under Kevin Dwyer. It might be Mike Drop In, Kevin Dwyer Mortgage. I think it's all kind of the same.
Okay. So now that you have the planner, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it just yet.
I worked on it this weekend.
Look at you. Do you have any big rocks that you've set in for this quarter, or anything you plan to do a little differently?
Yes. So actually, you mentioned YouTube. So the YouTube channels, I have not done any real long form video yet. So I have a goal of, in the next 90 days, to have 3 to 5 good long form videos that'll go out on YouTube. That's one big piece that I like to put together, because I do some agent education pieces talking about, LinkedIn, or talked about, just different marketing pieces that I mentioned before. So that's one thing. The second kind of big rock I have is that, we use Total Expert as our company from a CRM tool. And we've got our journeys that are set up, which I hate because they're company branded journeys that don't really work. So I was actually had a goal of having 3 journey recordings for the agents, so that would go out as a video, as opposed to what we're sending out right now as, hey, we've got a first-time home buyers program, or we've got this. That's my second one. My third, actually, this one's a secret. I'll have to tell you later. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good.
I'm still waiting for the TV host in you to come out.
Me too. And guess what? It just came out. There's going to be something really fun coming out.
Okay.
I'm taking Mortgage Man back on the street. And I've just learned something this past weekend, which really threw me out of my chair. So I'm going to be pretty excited about. And I'm also with a bank too. So it's like, I've got to have sometimes like balance a little bit of what I've got. kind of going on, but there was a big aha this weekend working on my planner.
Well, I love hearing that. And of course, can't wait to see it. I should throw out there for those of you who are saying, well, wait a second, Deborah said there was only 18 of the social media planners. So keep emailing us. We're going to have a new plan for everyone who wants to either switch over their existing Win by Noon planner or new subscribers that want the social media loan officer version. We will have you handled for Q1 2023, but you're stuck with your current one for this quarter. So I should have
And I
probably thrown
am
it out there,
working with Adam on the real estate agent edition, social media.
Well, that's even more exciting. See, the best part is I don't even know these things that my team is working on behind the scenes to make us better, and I think really to help all of you, because I think that's going to be key. And you and we'll do a different call on that. We won't spend time we have with Kevin on the planner and kind of what our plans are. But I definitely, I love the fact that you obviously think through these things, Kevin. I think a lot of people, you use the word discipline before, and you kind of are laser focused, it looks like, on what you want to do. And so I love the idea that you had a number of 3 realtors that you're going to go after, and that you're making the calls not about mortgage. But some people are still stuck, probably saying, well, what does he mean? So are you looking at YouTube? You looking at social and seeing like that they just went to a birthday party and calling them and saying, oh, it's so good to see that you're hanging out at a birthday party? Or how are you starting that call with a realtor that you don't know that well?
Yeah, I don't think it's much about birthday party. I think it's more about asking questions of especially shoot, it's so different now, just even than it was probably 45 days ago, right? From our market standpoint. But I think the questions kind of come right now as saying, what are you seeing? Like, we're seeing the national news, right? But we know that real estate is local. So what are we seeing in our local market? And what are you seeing some of the challenges that sellers have, buyers have? And then how are you shifting, right, in your business? Because again, the faucet's not turned up on high right now like it was just even in Q3.
I love it. So you're not overthinking it. You're just asking them questions about really what they're thinking about every day, and they probably haven't articulated to anyone because no one's been smart enough to ask.
Yeah, I think if you lived through 2008, 2009, right? Like it's like the world was collapsing and the world stopped, right? And from a retail, from all different aspects. But I think right now, what I try to do, which is something Deborah puts out, which is like, hey, so I start my day, instead of opening an email, I basically I read Housing Wire. I listen to several different podcasts, Logan Motoshami has got great information out there,
So
but really detailing what happened the week before. And I think if you educate yourself on what's happening in the market and be able to talk intelligently about that just sets you apart, as opposed to saying like, oh my gosh, well, rates are 7% now. Right. Because that everybody can kind of go off and do that. So I think it's just making sure that equip yourself, and it doesn't take long. I think that's why if you go in an hour a day and just read, there's so much information, right? There's too much content out there. But if you go in and literally spend, I have a little notepad and I'll just take notes and write down things that are said in some of these podcasts, and learn little tidbits, then those are some great things to go talk to agents about, or builders. Now, I also do a fair amount of construction perm loans. And so I also have a lot of custom home builders, and like what just came out last week. Well, Wall Street Journal said lumber prices are down. So it's calling and talking to them about like, hey, are lumber prices really down? Well, yes, they are, but guess what's not? Concrete, and we can't get labor. We can't find enough labor in the workforce to finish, the projects and stuff. So it's things along that line to kind of say, hey, here's what the headlines are. Tell me what you're seeing in the marketplace where you actually live and breathe.
Love it. So what about, and it's okay if the answer is nothing, but with October, November, December, and some holidays and events, do you do any face-to-face classes or masterminds with agents or anything with your clients that you plan on doing for this last quarter?
That is actually that was one of my Q3 goals. And and actually, she might even be on this call. She might be listening, but because I'm going to one that a financial planner is putting on Thursday night, and it actually has somebody from Flip or Flop that is speaking at the event. I think they've got 50 people there. And so one of my goals for this was to, now's not a time to run and hide. It's a time to actually invest and be kind of seen as a leader in the space, as loan officers probably are running and hiding. And so I want to put on like an event. Maybe it could be you, Deborah. It could be you coming, but I do, because I think if you bring value in somebody that's knowledgeable about whether talking about social media or talking about the specific market, then people will come, or real estate agents and builders will come. But that's actually one of my to-do buckets, because I didn't do one last quarter. I don't really think I've done one this year, but it's something that I think I'd like to do, because if done correctly, I think it's a big value piece add right now when people are looking for answers.
When we did a webinar on that, I don't know if you have the link and if you want to drop it, Todd, but we did a whole, I think it was an hour call with Adam on how and what goes into when you're hosting an event and how to make it where it's, memorable, whether it's for a client or for an agent. But what I love about the last quarter is it's the easiest time of year to reconnect and re-engage. Whether you do a virtual Halloween costume where you can have your clients submit, different Halloween photos, which that's what I'm really pushing on clients, is trying to get their database to provide some of that user generated content, which always looks good when you have other people, kind of sharing their experience. But Todd, I have one more question I want to ask him before 3:30. Is there anything that I don't want to?
You were making me multitask, right?
One.
I got this little thing that says focus, so I don't get distracted, but I had to go multitask while you were giving that to get that link. So I'll throw the webinar link in here.
Good. So Kevin, I think when you said being a control freak and when you're building out a team, I really think it's crucial that if you want to break through certain ceilings, learning how to attract, train, hire, and let go of control. How did you do it? Like what helped you get over?
I'm still doing it today. But I mean, it's just having a great, team behind you that knows, right, that like, okay, I can answer this. I can take this. And I even last week we ran into like a small issue on Friday, and one of my teammates, Ashley, was just like, well, the client's all upset and blah, blah, blah. And we got it. It was easy. We got it taken care of, but I'm glad that she made the call and went through what she went through, because if not, she doesn't learn from it, right? Like all the things I've learned over the last 20 years is because I didn't have a team or an assistant helping me. I didn't have, I had a processor that was working on a bunch of other different files. And so like, I felt like I had to take care of everything, and I did. But you should be able to get to a point where it's just like, and I read this recently in the book Clockwork, which is like, delegation is not delegation if the people are coming back to you and asking for answers based off what you sent them. That's not delegation.
Oh, delegation, so true.
Delegation is them running, learning, making their own decisions based off what you told them to go do. And so if you've delegated, but yet they always come back to you and they keep asking you questions about what you gave them to do, then it's still not delegated yet.
So good. I agree.
Yeah, I think that's a big observation. Go ahead, Deborah.
I was going to say the one thing, Kevin, that may help is as you're building out your YouTube channel, and I don't know, I'm sure you know this, but there's different ways that you can list your links, whether it's unlisted or private. But one thing we did is we really, back when I was helping my sister build her team, is we would create like process milestones or anything that was a frequently asked question we built up in the YouTube channel, and we made them unlisted. That way, if you're out and you're doing a meeting or you're on the golf course or whatever, your team could quickly say, hey, that's a great question. In fact, I have a video on that exact thing from Kevin. Let me send it to you. And so it feels like you're everywhere. And it can even be embedded in your milestones in your CRM of all those different, congratulations, we've just received your application. Here's what to expect next. Or congratulations, your file was just submitted to processing. Here's what to expect next. And again, when you never say the client name, it can just be embedded where it feels like it's you the entire time. And it's not, which is great.
Yeah, I just heard that last week is like an extension, basically, of yourself, which is great. Because I just talked to a client this morning, had questions about a CP loan, and it'd be great to say, like, what, I've got a YouTube channel, I've got a whole series of things you can go and watch, after we've even had a 15-minute consultation. And I think that's great, right? Because people can just go watch that, at their leisure. And a guy last week had told me, he's like, I send some of my first time home buyers to my Instagram channel or YouTube channel, that way that even if they're not ready to buy right now, they can go watch the content that I'm putting out. So I think that's a great thing to do. And what I like about the planner that you sent is that the milestone piece of it, it is nice to keep that organized, right? Because otherwise you feel like when you start listening to all these stories about what everybody's doing, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do that. I got to do this. I got to do it. And it gets overwhelming. But if you that's why it's like a couple different things. It doesn't have to be, it's going to turn into YouTube star in 4 days, but a few things just lay out, be like, here, I've done my 5 videos and they're ready to be put on. It can happen within 30, 45 days.
Yes.
Well, we got to kick you off in a minute because you got to go win an award. So that's pretty awesome. Is there?
I do. I've got about 5-10 minutes. If there are any questions.
All right. So is there one other thing that you think that you do that's unique that we should be talking about?
I always sharpen the saw. So I continue to read. I continue to learn. That's what I love about Jeff's podcast that he has. There's so many different things. Like I've even worked on my own. Like if I lost a deal, sometimes I'm less like, I wonder why that was, did I say something or do something? So I think I have my purpose statement is make them laugh, always sharpen the saw, and give back. And so if I feel like I'm doing my things in those 3 categories, I know I haven't made y'all laugh today, but if I feel like I'm following in those categories.
That made me laugh. See, there you go.
Yeah.
Then hey, at least the bond market's not crashing today. But I feel like the sharpen the saw for me, obviously a Stephen Covey piece there, which is just continue to learn, right? There's so many different things that you can learn and do from one day to the next, from 1 week to the next. And it's amazing where that can take you if you just do those deposits just on kind of a daily basis.
Well, and just to echo what you said, I was on a call right before this one, and the number one thing that I hear from every call is I just don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time.
You do.
And so what I told him is, no, what you don't have is a schedule, is what you're telling me. Because if it was a priority and you had it in your schedule, you would get it done. And then even last Thursday, I did a big presentation for a bunch of real estate agents, and they were all talking about how challenging and overwhelmed they had thought with creating content and having to post content. And I said, okay, so I tell you what, open up your photo album in your phone right now. I can probably find you 5 posts right now that we could schedule out. You're already creating and documenting content. You're just not sharing it on social. So we got to get to the root of why you're not sharing it on social. Then I told him, let me see your screen time, and I'm going to look at which apps you use the most and how much time do you spend on those apps every day.
Ooh.
So don't tell me you don't have time, or that you're not on social media, or that you aren't able to create content for whatever reason, because you're already creating it. You just don't post, and you're already on the platforms consuming, basically allowing the platforms to use you instead of you using social. So that's my new mission. I'm speaking this Thursday, and that's going to be my topic, is how to not be used by social, rather you use social. So
it's hard. It sucks you in. That's the whole goal of the social, right? It's funny you mention that, because I have a men's group that I'm with, and we talked about time and that. And then I used to coach my daughter's basketball team. Y'all probably saw it on ESPN, the Dunkin' Donuts. They were pretty big. I think we went, 3-8. But
you're being serious. Are you being serious?
No, I mean,
you're joking. Okay.
No, I named the team
were
the
y'all
Dunkin'
featured?
Donuts. no, but I'm joking. There,
Yeah.
it's like
He's making us laugh. You're missing the point.
Yeah, there you
Well,
go.
I thought maybe
Thank you,
for a
Todd.
second he was a comedian, so I was like, maybe he did get like featured
No,
somehow.
I was trying to do my laugh portion of it. I named them the Dunkin' Donuts because they were terrible.
Got it.
And so one of the interesting things, we were talking about that, and I was reflecting because it's like that's a winter sport. I was like, but when I coached, like, I live in Atlanta, and it's like when you have to go somewhere, it takes you 45 minutes to get there, regardless, right? I was like, so you go coach, you shut down 45 minutes early, you get there on time to meet the girls, and then you coach for an hour, and of course you have to talk to the other coaches for another 25 minutes. I was like, there was 2 hours like every Thursday, right, that all of a sudden I was saying I didn't have time for certain things and I was busy. I was like, I don't do that anymore. I don't coach. So what about that time? And so to your point, like, there is more time than you think. It just definitely, sometimes you have to shut off the email, right? You have to shut certain things off. If I knew I had to be at the basketball court at 3 o'clock and I was going to be there till 4:30, guess what? I was there. And then guess on Saturdays, when we're so busy on Saturdays, and then we had games. And I was like, so there was an extra 2 to 3 hours that whole week during coaching that was there. And so I think that was an eye-opening moment to say, like, well, wait a minute. Now that that's not there, then why can't I dedicate that to, recording videos or making my database calls or whatever else? So, but no, the Dunkin' Donuts, they were not on ESPN.
Well, and I just love when you have them pull up their screen time and it shows you exactly which apps they're on. That was my favorite. Or when people tell me, well, I'm not good at showing up on social, or I don't think people are going to want to watch me, or, they get nervous about getting started. And so I always keep it PG, but I'm like, so when you first learned how to kiss, were you like, oh, I'm just not going to try that. I'm not going to try to get good at it. I don't, it's just not for me. I doubt people just stopped and were like, no, I'm just never going to kiss in my life. Like, no, you learn to figure it out when it's important to you.
I'm glad you kept that PG. Now I'm going to look at,
I did.
I'm going to make my group coaching tomorrow. I'll just warn you all who are watching this, who are in group coaching, we're going to look at our screen time when we start tomorrow. That's
there you go.
That's mean. That's mean, but that's exactly it. Cause I think you just proved it, right? Everyone's got something that they were doing a week ago, a month ago, 6 months ago that they're not doing, that they are taking that time and allowed it to go off into the ether world. And certainly a good opportunity. So I'm grateful, Kevin. Deborah, if you got a minute, let's hang out for a few minutes after we kick Kevin off. But grateful that you were able to jump in. It's always great to have not just new folks that are in on the webinar, but using the planner. So I look forward to getting feedback from you and hearing what your big ahas are as you actually continue on and use the planner, and just make sure you reach out if you need any help. But congrats on the big award you're winning, and we'll be pulling for your $100 million finish to the year.
Awesome. I look forward to, after going in, it's comprehensive. So there's no cheating when you're looking at that planner, which I like.
Yeah, it's funny. It's the only thing that Deborah's version doesn't have the instructions built into it too. So if you want the instructions, let me know.
There's a couple spots where I might have needed a few tips, but
I didn't even think about the fact that the new, when you subscribe, you get a launch edition which has all the instructions built in. So we'll have to come up. In fact, Deborah, that'll be on your homework list. Send me the list of everyone you sent them to, so I can send them some info. We can do a special webinar to get you guys all launched.
Awesome.
I was even thinking we could have little QR codes embedded for the next launch where it would be real easy.
Oh, that's so smart. I'm going to make that a note of that. Let me put that on my.
Yeah. See,
I got to
that's
find
the
my
problem. This
book
brain
with
is always going.
My big idea
Thank
book
you,
right
Kevin.
here.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. I know it was last minute having you on, but I'm grateful that you watch. You're definitely a student and you take action. So thank you for watching my emails and my videos every week. And my goal with a lot of those is to create little micro nuggets of content that then you could recreate and send it out to your agent database of teaching them little marketing tips and tricks, or you could send my link. But anytime I can help you just let us know. We're here to help.
I don't have time.
You don't have a schedule.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good talking to you. All right. So everyone who's going to hang out here for a minute, I got a couple of questions for Deborah based on some things that she said, just kind of a couple of observations that I would say from a leadership perspective that I didn't want to interrupt Kevin and overtalk what he was teaching, but he really did a great job. I literally have a half a page of notes here on some of the things that he said. But one of the things you mentioned was unlisted YouTube. And so here's my weird question for that. If your team member sends out a video on, like, how to fill out a 1003 or something like that, does it stay on there that it's been watched 10,000 times, or does it still show?
So.
Okay, so that's the only
I
weird thing
think,
to
but
me,
I
like,
think
it's
I
still
can
not quite
see
personal.
that. But I think I can see that. What I need to test is, because I'm always looking at my.
All right,
my
so send me
channel.
one as a consumer so I can peek at it. That's on your
Yeah.
homework list then.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
We'll do.
All right, I'm going to teach people to pull up the screen time. I like that one, so I'll play with that when I get done. I see it every once in a while. I turned it off on my phone because I didn't want it to tell me how much time I was spending on stuff. And I would say that
It
you can
even
also set
shows you like
timers
the
for your.
most popular apps and like
Oh,
how much
wow, I
time.
know exactly what it shows me. I've seen it. I just try not to look at it. But I would say, something that's kind of cool too as a hack is that, you can set a time limit for yourself for every day. So one of the things that I love that Dave Savage does is he does set a time limit for social media. And so every once in a while I'll laugh, we'll be doing something together. And like we did a Facebook Live last year. And because we talked for a really long time, we went over his limit for the day. And it's like, we're in the middle of it. It's trying to shut him off. You get off. So there are things that you could do to save yourself from yourself. I think that oftentimes is where, you get pulled into the rabbit hole. And, one of the things that this new fancy planner has the number of comments and direct messages. So far I'm at 0 for the day. But I did get that one story post in this morning. So I'm feeling still really darn good about that one. And I don't know that I have any likes likes or respond, anything I have to respond to. So that's good too, I guess. But all right. So that was my first question. I'm going to check out the book Clockwork he mentioned. So stay tuned on that. I'll tell you guys if I think that is good. And then also, I love what you said. Don't be used by social, use it. So that'll be one of my things that I look at. But I did love that. Like the other thing that he said is he really has 3 things that he focuses on every day, right? So the planner says, what are your top 3? And his is, make somebody laugh, sharpen his own saw. So again, it's outward looking and then inward looking, and then also follow up with them, which I thought was really interesting as well. And so I think really when you see someone like that, right, I'm talking to all of you and then you can kind of tell me your thoughts. I'm like, he said, I just wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to engage with 3 partners and by the end of the quarter, get a referral from them. And he implied he got more than 3 that sent him a referral. And it wasn't that hard. He had a team member commenting on social and DM, which you guys can do. I have a team member, Deborah Bird and her team, who do that for me. Although this planner is now going to make me do some of it myself. So that'll be good. And then he was looking to see who opened his emails. Now, you know what? Transparently, I'm probably never going to take the time to see who's actually reading my emails. But I'm going to call him and say, hey, I'm just checking in. I love what he said. Like, hey, I saw that lumber prices went down. Are you seeing that too? Again, think about what you can ask someone. Hey, realtor, I was just thinking about you. Deborah Bird said I should give you a call. I was talking to her about the fact that it looks like, that interest rates spiked last week and she thought maybe I could call to get your feedback on that. What did you hear? And then you can ask the realtor, put them, him or her on the spot. I think there's just ways you can engage someone with here's what I learned. What do you think strategy? I really thought that was great. And I don't think, I think some of you were like, well, if he's checking to see who's actually opened his email, I wouldn't, for me, I'm going to skip that step. That's like the super achiever step, but he said he had an assistant to it. So again, he delegated it. But what are the thoughts did you have from what Kevin had to say?
Just that I look at it I usually do it Sunday where I'm creating, I call it my battle plan every day. I take my planner and I theme the days out, just even with my gym. So I even put like today was chest and tries. And when I can theme the days, when our database calls, when are you doing your, annual asset reviews, your people who are pre-qualified or under contract, and you're making your battle plan, it is a non-negotiable from 8 to 12. It is working on the battle plan. And a lot of times, and even back when I was originating, I hated cold calling. I'm one of those that when you call, I typically don't answer because I don't like being on the phone. So a lot of the conversion happens in the DMs. I would immediately, even today, people will say, oh, I would love to meet with you. Or I would say, hey, really like your content. Let's jump on a call together and I'll send them my link and we'll do a Zoom. But I really never called. I guess it factor that worked for me was social, dripping on them, being their biggest champion. And part of creating your battle plan is like, who do I need to call today? Who do I need to follow up with? What were opportunities from yesterday or even last month? Like, did all of your closings last month give you a review? That would be a first Monday of the month. I'm looking at all those closings. Did I add those people to the extension of my database, which is social? And if they're not giving you reviews, are you following up with them? And who could I meet today that could change my life in the next 5 years? Or, so it's just getting that intentional so that there is zero white space from 8 to 12, zero white space. And that's just even what I told my team this morning is when you have that kind of commitment to yourself and what you're doing, and you look at it as your battle plan, it doesn't matter if I had to take a dirt road, an airplane, a tree, I would find a way to get there. You always will find a way to get there. Nothing's going to stop you, but it's those non-negotiables and really leveling up your standards of, filling your schedule with intentionality so that, when people say I don't have time, I'm like, that just means you're not in control of your time.
It's interesting because you have on your phone now, if you're an iPhone user, like the do not disturb personal focus time. You can customize it. I don't know if you can see it here. I don't know. You can't because I got this stupid thing on, but mine now has one that says winning by noon. So every day from 7 to noon, it goes from being on do not disturb at night to 7 in the morning because I don't look at my phone until then. But now from 7 to noon, it says winning by noon. So I don't know what it shows on other people's side, but that's what I'm doing. It's kind of cool. I'm all excited about it. All right, so we're going to wrap up here in 3 minutes. I want to throw out a couple of things. Number one is, of course, if you're watching this and you haven't signed up for the Operating System 2.0 group coaching program that starts tomorrow, sign up. Everyone waits to the last minute because of the way it's a monthly build thing. But if you're even looking at it, just go to WBNoperating-system.com. Starts at $99 a month. It's going to be super fun and super committed to make everyone rock stars who come out of it. And got, as always, like 25% of the people are already really crushing it. But it's a 75% who are doing less than 5 loans consistently that, I want to make y'all win. That's my Texan accent coming out. Make y'all win this quarter. My highlight probably of the Kevin conversation was he said that getting the planner and actually spending the time looking at it to plan his day, week, and month, that he had ahas that were such big ahas that he's not sharing them with us on this call, which I thought was super cool. I can't wait to learn what that secret is. But I think really the bottom line is anytime that someone takes the time to do what you're talking about, plan out whatever, however you're going to theme it out for yourself, you always are going to learn a lot. And, you all have the time because we're going to see it here when I get done, I'm going to look at my time on my phone. That is that. And then I'm going to take a poll later. I'm thinking about switching this call if Deborah can do it to noon Pacific instead of 1 Pacific, because it seems like you East Coasters are having troubles with the 1 p.m. Pacific start. So Deborah will have to tell me whether she's cool with that, but I'll take a poll so you guys can let me know on that.
I like it being at noon simply because it's win by noon,
Well, and transparently, the reason I did it at 1 is because there's a Steve Chater, who's a big realtor leader friend of mine, wrote the book Hold, is really a big influence. He runs a thing every Monday at 11 to 12:30 called Focus on Success. And I really would love to go to it, but I just realized that's as much as I go there for myself, sharpen my saw to learn. It's Monday. It's not in the cards for me as the day to do it. And I got other times I'll learn from Steve. And so therefore I'm willing to give up that in order to be great for all of you.
Well, and I'm really excited to announce it's 2 quarters I've been working on this, but we finally have our Spanish version of our social media marketing for the
es la verdad.
basic. Do what?
Es la verdad. See? Is that the truth? That's my Spanish.
I was like, Spanish. I thought you were. It is not registering today. I thought
secundaria.
I thought your mic was going in and out. I was like, are you meaning to push mute? Anyways,
we're gonna lose
really
people because I'm talking Spanish now, and I don't know very much. That was all I know.
I actually have a member on my team who it's kind of a crazy story, but she was our processor back in the day on the Nerd Squad team, and she was in school to get her marketing degree, and she was a loan processor. Then we even got her license, and she somewhat originated, but her first language is Spanish. And so you can kind of tell in some of her emails that she writes, but I told her the moment that I could finally bring her on board, I thought, there's such a need for social media for Spanish speakers. And when you look at the wealth gap and all of the metrics of what's not available for the loan officers who need this content. I'm super excited. So if you're
Well,
interested, just
congrats.
send me an email.
Congrats. I think that is a big deal. It's a big commitment, and
Yes.
financial commitment and time commitment on your part. And so I hope that people out there who hablas español take advantage of it.
Gracias.
Well, I guess they would say habla español because I'm not friends with them yet. All right. Well, I'm as always appreciate you, Deborah. Appreciate all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules, whether you're watching this live or listening to it later. I know you have to take the full time to listen to it because I talk too fast for you to listen to it on faster speed. And so, as always, go out there, have a great week, and anything that Deborah or I can do to make your business more successful, just let us know. We're here to help.
Bye, guys.
All right. Peace, everyone.